And I'm on the spotlight. My accent gets thicker, and I get Parkinson's, and then my heart is racing. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. And then just before Aaron had mentioned about my testimony, I was telling Christina, oh God, they keep talking about my testimony. Edgar keeps saying my testimony, my testimony. They're going to suspect this great thing, and then they're going to be disappointed. But anyway. So, as you heard, my name is Patricia, and I was born in Mexico in a family of 8 children. I was raised Catholic. My mom taught us about God and taught us to fear God the best that she could. I do remember there were a couple of prayers that she taught us, and we will pray every night. One was to St. George, and I don't know who that is. But the other one was about, for our guardian angel to protect us during the night. We also, the other time that we prayed, it was at mealtime, but it was after meals, not during, not before. For some reason, it was just to thank the Lord for His provision and for the hands that prepared the meal. Anyway, so at 8 years old, I did my first communion. I'm sure that, I don't know if some of you are, familiar with the Catholic faith, but kids do their first communion, at a younger age. So 4 siblings and myself, did our first communion. To do that, we have to learn catechism. And I remember this lady that taught us catechism, she had a long stick. So whenever we didn't behave, she will hit us either on the arm or the leg. Or if we asked a lot of questions, because you were just to memorize and recite what they were telling you, but you couldn't ask any questions. So there was no explanation about what we were learning. Then I will say I was about 10 years old when my mother sent me and my 4 siblings that did the first communion together, because there were 5 of us, to church. We will go to Mass at 6 p.m. every single day, Monday through Friday. And I honestly think that she did it to get a break from us, because at age 35, she had 8 kids. So, and then my dad was kind of like on and off, not really present most of the time. So I'm pretty sure she did it for us to have a break. Besides the going to Mass every day. So my brothers were altar boys, and my sister and I will help with the offerings and reading scriptures. So we did have the misal. I don't know how to say it in English, but that's a book for the Catholics where they read the scripture. But I never saw a Bible or touched a Bible. On Saturdays, we will meet with a priest so he can explain us a little bit about the Bible. So we were told that we couldn't read the Bible because we were not able to understand it. That it was only the priest that had the anointment to understand what the gospel was, and that's why he was teaching us. So anyway, so that went on for a few years. And then as I grew up, I started to rebel about the confession thing. I was growing up and I was like, why do I have to go and tell the priest what I do? Why can't he tell me what he does? And I even told my mom, because my mom will say, you haven't confessed for about 2 years. I said, well, Mom, I'll make a deal. If you go talk to the priest, and then if he tells me one thing that he does, then I'll tell him one thing what he does. So obviously that didn't go well with my mom, right? Anyway, so then life went on. I became a nurse, and when I became a nurse, I went to Puerto Vallarta to do my internship, because we usually do a year of internship. And then at that point, I saw some things at church when I was going, every day in the Catholic church that I didn't like. Like there was this lady that was at church every single day. She would clean the church, she would help, at the pastoral house or the priest's house. But his home was in disarray, her home. So her husband was the one cooking, attending to the kids, and the kids were all dirty, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I started looking for something else, and I wasn't sure what was I looking for. I felt like an emptiness in my heart. That nothing filled it. I had a lot of friends, I went to parties. I didn't drink, but I love friends and parties. But I still was searching for something and I wasn't sure what. When I was in Puerto Vallarta, I visited a church that was not Catholic. That was my first church that I visited. I was not too impressed because at a certain point during the service, Everybody went to the front, kneeled down, and started wailing, like crying, confessing their sins. And then after that, so we stayed, it was a friend and, another friend and myself that went to the church. So we just kind of look at each other, it's like, well, what is this? Anyway, so at the end of the church, we were told that if we wanted to come back, that we needed to wear no makeup, because I liked makeup at that time, and that we could not wear pants. So then, needless to say, I didn't go back. Then, like a couple of years later, then I came to the States. So I was around, I was a young adult, I was 24 when I came to the States. And I gave my search. I went to a few different churches, one of them that spoke in tongues, and I didn't like it. I was kind of scared when I heard all the people, talking different things and not knowing what they were saying. I was, because there was no interpretation, I was kind of afraid, and I'm like, I don't think I like it. Then I went to a different one that, so I visited like 3 different churches. And then finally through a friend, I visited a small Baptist church, and I kind of liked it. So I went there for about 6 months when then they call it an evangelistic campaign. They had someone, coming to explain the gospel. At that time, that's when I finally understood what the gospel was, that Jesus had died for me, that I did not need to behave good or make, good, do good deeds, because that's one of the things that was ingrained in our minds when we were going to Catholic Church also, that we needed to be good in order to earn heaven. And then even if you did a lot of things, maybe you'll end up in purgatory, to do, some penance for a while, and then maybe go to heaven. So then, when I accepted the Lord, the void that I had, I felt it like it was filled, like I was complete. And then what a joy that was to know that He loved me the way I was, that I did not need to, be good or behave all the time, for Him to love me. Then I went back to my family and I shared. My mom didn't say much, but my brothers and sisters did not like it. Then after that, it started a little bit of persecution. I was called names, like I was named Saint Patricia, I was called Redeemed, Woody Two Shoes. And they made my life a little hard because my brothers used to like to have a drink at the end of the week, like they will work during the week, then weekends they would like to have a drink. And because I didn't join them, that's what they didn't like. And I learned a confession. Before I knew the Lord, I like to say about a word here and there. I was not too bad, but I did enjoy like a little. So when I accepted the Lord, that immediately was like non-existent. I didn't have a taste for those. In fact, I didn't even like to hear them. So they didn't like that either. They say, "Oh, you think now that you're so saint that you don't want to even mingle with us?" Anyway, I kept continuing going to church, and that's where I met my husband. We married, and obviously, since he was a believer too, they didn't take that well. And for many years, we were not invited to, to the parties, to their, my nieces and nephews, their graduations from school, or, we were not invited. So we were kind of like, only in the, really necessary activities that they included us. So we felt ostracized, but little by little, they started to accept. It took a long time for them to accept Edgar. Probably, 15 years, you would say, 15, 20 years? That's what it took for them to accept him. Nowadays, my mom and a sister are believers. The rest of my brothers and sisters are not. My mom has a very simple faith. Like Edgar was saying, because of the way she grew up, she didn't know how to read, so she taught herself, and she reads about a 2nd grade level. But she reads the Bible every day, and she prays every day. And she believes in Jesus, because I share the gospel with her. And she still prays a rosary. She still listens to Mass, because she doesn't drive. She doesn't drive, so she cannot go to the church. But I know, and I guess I'm gonna sound too mystical, but the Lord gave me a sign that she belongs to Him. And that she's a believer, and I left her in the Lord's hands. I said, "Okay, Lord, you know that she believes in you, and she's yours." I've been praying for my brothers and sisters for the past 25 years plus for them to become believers. And I know that in His infinite mercy that He will do it one of those days. So I used to pray, here and there, but I will say for the past 5 years, the Lord has put in my heart to pray for them almost every day. And I just hope and pray that, that if you ever remember us in your prayers, please pray for my brothers too. And that's it.